Welcome back, everybody, to the Heroes of the Storm Summer Championship. One last time, we are going to go to the battlefields. Of course, this event is being live broadcasted, of course, here from Sweden at the DreamHack Summer venue. There's an awesome viewership here, not only live on stage, but also in home in front of the computers. So thank you very much for staying with us, and I'm pretty sure you will be rewarded with an awesome grand finals between two very strong Korean teams, namely MVP Black and Team Tempest. With me at the panel now, as always, my personal show sidekick here, Mr. J-How. How are you doing?
I'm excited. This is the battle of Titans, the clash of Titans, if you will. Just a few weeks ago, we were in Burbank. We all woke up at the U.S. regionals, the North American regionals, and we heard about Tempest taking down MVP Black. It is now time for them to have the rematch. The fact that that was heard around the world. And it's now again.
I know there is one man who is right now the luckiest and happiest person on the planet. Wolf, I mean, it's a Korean dream come true, so why don't you tell us what you think about this upcoming finals?
First of all, I wanna tell you guys, I told you so. I told you so.
Oh, come on, come on. Get out of here. Get out of here.
I told you so. I told you so. I told you so. Oh, no, it's going to be E-Star Black. No, E-Star Tempest. X Team's going. No, it was Korea all along, both times. Black are the defending champions, right? They won last season in their hometown in Korea, and now they have to defend their title. Tempest looks strong. They did defeat them 4-0, but I think that Black is going to do it this time.
All right, so first off, I'm going to make a quick interruption. This gentleman has a birthday coming up, and we're going to wish him an early birthday.
Really?
You said your birthday was in 4 days, a couple days ago.
It's on Wednesday, I think.
So happy early birthday to Wolf before we get this party started, because after this, I think we've got a lot more to focus on. But happy early birthday,
I really
Wolf.
appreciate that. My gift is probably the Korea versus Korea finals. Right?
Thanks.
Of course, we cannot forget about Gillyweed, though. For the first time on this playoff stage here at the panel, it is my honor and pleasure to introduce you to the viewers out there. Let us know how excited you are about this upcoming grand finals.
Kendrick, I'm super pumped. It's so amazing. Tempest versus MVP Black, the rematch. These guys haven't even scrimmed each other since that big loss, the upset. And I'm a little bit exhausted because that last match was so intense, but I'm just super pumped to be here.
Right, and of course, this is not how we started the tournament pretty much. There was much more to come before that, and we can see that in the Road to Summer Championship, of course. So many different regions were actually sending their best teams to compete here at DreamHack Summer in Jönköping, Sweden. And only one region prevailed all the way to the grand finals. And of course, we have here now MVP Black and Team Tempest. I may want to call Team Tempest the Kingslayers, because for such a long time, the reign of MVP Black was something that not many could challenge. In fact, nobody could. However, MVP Black, they're here to reclaim their throne, their Korean throne, and they're here to defend their world championship, or title, if you will. J-How, do you think that they will be able to do so?
It almost seems like a fire was lit the minute E-Star took a game off of them. They have not looked back. But the thing is, they've had it in full gear ever since. Now, they said, hey, listen, we weren't started that. We were low percentage as far as their power level, but it has not looked like it at all.
No.
They've looked dominant the entire performance, as well as Tempest, but MVP Black possibly a little bit more so.
Yeah, and we now get to see the bracket once more, of course, guys. It was a long way for all the teams, but only two, of course, could make it all the way to the end. The grand finals, by the way, is also going to be a best of 5, so there is plenty of room for battlegrounds to be chosen and for strategies to be worked out.
No, I think that if you look at the last series we saw versus E-Star, Tempest showed a lot of weakness, especially in the early game.
Yes,
lack of preparation versus certain drafting. For example, when Falstad and Tastar were taken away from them, their drafting looked a little bit weak. They didn't look as strong, and I think the last 2 games that they won were almost given to them by the Chinese team.
Now, we've talked a lot about those two teams in particular, Gilly, but can you tell us a little bit more about the relationship that these two teams have? Like, how do they feel towards each other?
Well, as I mentioned, just the fact that they haven't scrimmed each other since they have been here, you have to look at this and say, MVP Black may be a little angry at Tempest for winning that 4-0, making them look a little foolish, and since then they've been like, we're powering up, we're at 20%, we're at 30%. I think that MVP Black likely thinks that they can win this, but maybe not wanting to underestimate them again, making sure that they are completely ready for Tempest this time.
All right, for now, the big moment has arrived, of course, when the Gladiators enter the arena once more here at DreamHack Summer at the Heroes of Storm Summer Championship. Everybody at the venue, everybody at home, give it up for Team Tempest and MVP Black.
All right, guys, it is now time to crown a champion, and it is going to be duked out here, and these two teams are ready to win. They have shown all week long why they deserve to be here, and there are all-stars on each side of the coin.
And both of these teams are now representing Korea. But the question is, which team is the better Korean team? MVP Black was decimated, destroyed, broken apart after that last finals. They got 4-0'd by Tempest. They want their revenge. And it's not going to be an easy fight.
I think a lot of it, though, too, came down to, you saw that second game, Tempest versus MVP Black, where Tempest won it in like 8 minutes. It was the first curse of boss, and MVP Black were basically throwing heroes at Tempest. It really seemed like they were just so tilted, and a lot of it came down to maybe they just didn't even look at Tempest as a real rival, but I guarantee to you guys, they see them as such now.
The fact that we have 5 games to figure out who's going to be the best, I mean, no best of 3. Let's get into it. I mean, I cannot wait till this gets started. I already am getting hype here. I'm getting the chills. Kendrick, this is going to be phenomenal.
It's absolutely going to be insane. We've never had as much hype for a Heroes of the Storm best of 5 as we do it right now. I mean, everything's on the line. Not only the title of a world champion, but also that massive prize pool of $500,000. The winner takes on $150K. That is so much money, even for a Korean team who play a lot of tournaments and who play a lot in leagues.
Now, I've been talking to Black throughout this entire tournament when I get a chance to speak to them. Every time I asked them, who are you most afraid of, they always said, Tempest. And it feels like we've reached this perfect ending to a story. Like we're on the last chapter. This is the climax. When we look at the strongest region in the world, the top 2 teams, they didn't meet each other in this tournament until the grand finals. They avoided each other in groups. They avoided each other in the second group stage and then playoffs, all the way to the grand finals on the biggest stage that Heroes has had to offer this year.
It's almost like a head boss situation. But who is the head boss? Is it MVP Black, the team who has been dominant for so incredibly long, who didn't even lose a single series since until Tempest, and that was for so long, right? That was the WCA where they took 1 series against them from Team Liquid. That's a really long time to go without losing.
And Gilly, you mentioned Team Tempest. They are a big surprise, not only to the Korean scene, but of course to a global audience here. Not only were they looking extremely powerful in this tournament, but they have a long history. Also, a history of rivalry between themselves and MVP Black. But for now, we're going to introduce this fabulous team a little bit closer to you guys.
스크림 할 때 조금 실력이 좀 저조해진 느낌이 있어서 좀 힘들 거라고 생각은 했는데 그것보다는 조금 더 쉽게 통과한 것 같아서.
But even when you lose the support on one side, Zool goes down and all of a sudden A2 for 3.
저희는 연습을 많이 했기 때문에 자신감이 있었어요.
Dami is going back in. They're at least just trying to take her down the shielding, keeping her alive somehow, some way. Karazim will drop. Knife goes down too.
이제 목표하던 것 중에서 하나를 이루게 되어서 그리고 형이랑 하는 그런 것도 있기 때문에 다른 팀원들이랑도 엄청 좋을 것 같은데 그러니까 말로 표현은 못할 것 같아요.
Team Tempest, the current Korean champion. They have a stacked roster of players that have been knowing each other for such a long time, especially, of course, the crucial backbone of the team, Hyde and Lockdown, the brothers. they are together and they really formed a unit of 5 players that have conquered the international scene like no other.
Conquered, to say the least. When you can get to the top of the mountain by climbing over a team like MVP Black, you can get there. But that was just a Korean scene. Now we're at the Worlds. This is everybody, and both of these teams, Wolf, as you said, have blown through their groups, blown through the semis, and here they are, face to face.
In the OGN tournament that led up to this grand finals here, they showed specific drafts over and over and over again. Dami on Sonya, Hyde on Rhaegar. Then when they got to the grand finals, they changed it up completely. They were playing different heroes. They were playing Kerrigan. You know, Dami's playing totally different heroes than what we saw him play, what MVP Black was expecting. Suddenly, Hyde's playing Karzim. And not only just Karzim, but 7-sided strike Karzim. He perfected the isolation 7-sided strike that we see coming out of Korea. Other teams are doing it now as well, but I feel he's the best player in the world at this. And it just goes to show this team comes together so well when they have a plan and they have a composition that they like.
Speaking on that too, yesterday we saw them just casually bust out Haymaker. For the first time, it was just like, well, you know, they have some slippery heroes, so we're just going to play Haymaker. And it's very cool to see them that they are just so willing to adapt on the fly. They have the trust in each other to do that. And I don't know if we thought that they would be able to do that, because this really is the first time that they're competing as a group on the international stage. But to get to this point has just been fantastic.
And guys, let me ask you this. I think Tempest, they were worrying a little bit to maybe face a different team other than MVP Black, because I think right now they are in their comfort zone. They know exactly how MVP Black play, and they did beat them in the past already, Jae-Hao.
I think that's got to definitely be very comforting, at least to meet them here. Maybe a little bit of nerves because they're such a powerhouse. We saw there in the introductions, they actually look pretty calm and collected, having a little bit of fun. Their superstar there, Hong Kono, that guy he's a lot of fun to watch. I like that guy.
Yeah. I want to point out that in the finals for Sojian, they had hidden strategies they'd never shown before that MVP Black was not prepared for. And also, MVP Black had an off day. Nobody can argue against that. Even when you asked Duck to his face what he thought about it, he was like, yeah, they had an off day. It was not their best performance of all time, but today is a different day. Today, they don't have that many hidden strategies. They had a pretty easy road here, but they showed so much, and they haven't faced Black since the finals of OGN, so MVP Black has so much to study from them.
Yeah, I don't really know if we'll see something different for them. They've had a little bit of time to prepare, but up until the point of E-Star, they were undefeated. They were unchallenged, but E-Star did give them a little bit more of a challenge, so I guess we'll have to see if they have something to pull out.
Right, and definitely, we're now going to check out MVP Black, a team that seeks vengeance, a team that seeks to restore its name to the former glory, of course, that they had before they gave away the Korean title to Team Tempest. So everybody in the stage, everybody at home, give it up for MVP Black.
일단 팀원 간의 포커싱, 점사 능력이 좀 많이 중요할 것 같고요. 어느 정도 운영은 다 맞춰져 있는 상태라 한타 때 교전만 잘하면 될 것 같아요.
Well, they're already starting to move in. That boss, of course, is a very early one. We're only 6 minutes into the game, but my insanity. Team Rich is going in as well. The boss is still on keep. This is going to be the fastest keep in this tournament, Wolf.
우선 우승은 하고 싶긴 한데 그렇게 압박감을 가지고 있진 않아요. 왜냐면은 어쨌든 최종적으로 목표를 하는 건 블리즈컨이고 저희는 이미 2위로 왔다고 생각을 하고 있기 때문에 이번 대회에서는 우승을 하면 좋지만 우선 목표는 저희가 얼마나 흥미를 많이 느끼고 그리고 얼마나 좀 더 프로다워질 수 있는 그런 생각을 할 수 있는 게 그런 생각을 하게 되는 게 목표여서 우선은 그거에만 집중하고 있어요.
Can they really pull it off? There's a lot of damage on the side of my insanity. They're trying to go for already. Everything is going for him. It's a race, ladies and gentlemen, and MVP Black is sending the clock down to 50%, as is the only chance for my insanity, but it's not enough.
MVP Black, a team that is looking so strong. I mean, you name the position, they've got it. They've got someone like Rich, indomitable melee assassin player. Then they've got Merryday, who plays virtually all the supports in the game that they are. I mean, is there any weak link in that current roster, Jayhow?
I think the only weak link is going to be themselves and their mentality. Sign right there was talking about getting their passion back for the love of the game. Is it going to be enough here? If that is them not as interested as they say they could be, that's scary for anybody they go up against.
Of course, and they've said from the beginning of this tournament they had a lack of passion, if you will. They weren't really feeling it. They got a bit hurt by that loss to Tempest, but they brought it back together. Here's Merryday, a guy who's shown us a huge support pool, playing a lot of Morales even in this tournament, a hero that for a long time was considered out of the meta.
We can talk about the road that both of these teams have taken to get to this point. MVP Black has just lost 2 games their entire way here. And don't forget, they had to play through the first group stage. They've lost 1 game to E-Star, and then they lost 1 game today to My Insanity. Tempest also lost a game to E-Star, but they just had a shorter road to get to that point.
Definitely. You bring up a good point there, Gilly. In terms of practice overall, MVP Black is certainly more warmed up than Team Tempest. On the flip side, though, Jayhow, Team Tempest had a little bit more time to study their opponents throughout the Heroes of the Storm Summer Championship.
Yeah, I'm sure they were watching, trying to see if MVP Black was pulling out anything, but also keep in mind, Tempest was the one that was in the last set. We took a bit of a break, but remember, they're going to see if they can carry that momentum over.
Right.
I mean, that wasn't too terribly long ago, so hopefully, you know, if we talk about experience throughout the week, Tempest hopefully can pull that together and continue in the set.
I think a lot of people look at MVP Black, and a lot of people looked at them in the Korean Spring Championship, and they were saying that Kyocha was the weak link. A lot of people were tweeting about it, and the Korean fans were calling Kyocha Tassadar because he only played Tassadar, but he's improved his hero pool a lot. He's played a lot of Abathur. Today, he played Kael'thas for the first time in competitive play and wrecked with him. Looked so good. He's, I think, the most improved player over the course of this entire season, and I think that there is, as you said, there's really no weak link in this team, only themselves and their mentality.
Right. All right. We have the first battleground. Ladies and gentlemen, the teams will face it out against each other on a battlefield of eternity, and we have pointed out, guys, that this is a Korean specialty.
A Korean specialty, to say the least, and you might even say it's an MVP Black specialty. They don't just win on this map, they dominate. And by dominate, guys, I mean, it was a surprise that
it was
the map
also
earlier,
their pick.
It was also their pick. It was a surprise earlier that it went 12 and a half minutes.
Yeah. They basically beat My Insanity twice on it today. So, I mean, when you look at this, it's a map they've done so well on. I think the longest game they did, like where they actually won, was 12 minutes and 29 seconds versus My Insanity in the regame there. Incredible proficiency on this map, and I think Tempest is going to have to do what they do best and force team fights here.
They're just so good at exploiting that one spot where you get your heroic abilities around the second immortal, and they set it up in a way that their opponents lose way too much early on. They don't have their heroic abilities, and they know how to win off of that. And they've been exploiting that this whole season.
Now, in the previous series against E-Star Gaming, I think Team Tempest didn't really show too much of their strategies. Do you think that we can really see them coming out of their comfort zone and go for potential crazy picks that MVP Black might not be anticipating?
I think it's definitely possible, but I think they're going to try to keep it pretty standard. They had a little bit of problems with their play against E-Star because E-Star took away Falstad, took away Tassadar, and I think that Black is going to be following a similar strategy. Tempest is going to go ahead and take away Greymane right away here. One of the reasons why you want to take away Greymane is because of the flexibility that both Sake and Rich have to play the hero. So you take away a hero from 2 different players that really like to play him. It turns away what you can do. And this forces Kyocha, most likely because we have Kael'thas here, Kyocha to play Falstad, which is his worst hero, but he's going to pick it up to take it away from Lockdown.
It also gives MVP Black, though, they get to get Kael'thas, and they're undefeated on this hero at this tournament. And it's not like undefeated on 2 games. They've played 9 games, 10 games. That's crazy.
Dredd was talking about the priority for Kael'thas has improved as the tournament has gone on for a team like MVP Black, and you see no hesitation there. I think the draft is playing out. First pick Murd, and that's, you know, highly contested hero between these 2 teams. I'm actually a little bit surprised that was first pick, but it does allow them the comfort of having such a tough warrior on the front line.
So this is where the reason why it's taking Tempest so long to choose here is because there's no hero that they really are 100% decided on. It looks like they're going to put Sonya on Dami right away. That's obviously a great way to rush down the Immortal on this map using Sonya, and she's just a great hero overall, a great bruiser. Dami's highest win rate hero by far. and they're going to go ahead and take Rigor. So this is looking like OGN Super League
Were they
before
banned
the
Uther?
finals.
I was going to say, if there's anyone in here that can draw parallels to the drafts, of course, from the OGN finals, it's you, Wolf. So really, really thankful that you're doing that.
Would we be surprised if Tempest bans out Uther here, just like most of their drafts?
If they ban him, what support do we see MVP Black go for? Do they get a heavy front line and then maybe pull out Morales again?
We could see Tyrande, obviously very powerful on this map.
Right.
With a Tastar support if they were going to get Thrall for Rich, for example, because that's probably what we're going to see, I'd have to guess, with the bruisers that are available here since Sonya's taken away, Illidan's gone, Greymane's gone. They're going to ban ETC, though, which takes away a lot of early game pressure.
Yeah, the ETC Kael'thas combo we've seen so much of. I think it's a good ban. It does leave Uther open, but I don't think that's exactly what they're afraid of. Obviously, taking Greymane and ETC, those are big playmakers. Everything else you can kind of work around.
They're going to get Thrall here right away, and this is one of the reasons why you might be a little bit worried about the lack of the Uther ban, because if you get Thrall and you have Uther to keep him alive, Rich is one of the best Thrall players in the world. In fact, I think he is the best Thrall player in the world. And if you ban an Uther here, Meriday has been playing great. Kharazim has been playing even Morales sometimes, so I don't think that's where you really want to isolate the choke.
Yeah, he can play so many different supports and have been able to make them work. Something like Morales, which we were not expecting to be able to do so, but that was earlier on in the tournament. They may not feel so comfortable bringing out somebody who is so easily jumped upon, especially since Sonya. I mean, I don't think we would see Leap, but they may adjust to that based on it.
Yeah, it's pretty unlikely, but there's always the possibility.
I wonder if it is something that is possible. I wonder if they actually try and hold it for their last pick, and maybe that might be what they're deciding. If they hold it, that gives them a little bit of flexibility at the end. Let's say Tempest doesn't go with something that looks as threatening. It might allow them to go Morales last, or they have the possibility to pick a support here. I think there's a little bit of a mind game going on right now.
What do you think in terms of warriors here coming in for MVP Black? Because ETC's ban and Muradin is already being chosen, and those two were like really the backbones of the Asian teams throughout this tournament. And we've pointed that out earlier. Turiel, Solo Warrior, normally not the best of choices.
Looks like they're going to take Morales first and save the Warrior for basically a response pick to what Tempest takes. And I think this is smart because they don't have, like, Tempest doesn't have Thrall, which is one of the best ways that Koreans deal with Morales,
Right.
just the sundering, the isolation there.
Yeah.
And I think this is a smart pick.
Yeah, they have just so much poke that they're able to throw onto the Immortals that they can be the ones that force Tempest to be the aggressors. And as long as they keep Lieutenant Morales safe, which they have a strong front line to do, they have protection, they have slows, they have gravity lapses, they have feral spirits from Thrall. They have all the ways to try to keep her safe now, and it's up to Tempest to try to change that.
I'm starting to think we might see Sylvanas coming in here for Tempest.
Yeah.
As well as potentially Li Ming as the range damage.
Do you think there's a potential, I don't know if this is something that comes in on this map, but a potential Zero tool that might be able to isolate the front and keep Morales on the back and really go at her?
The problem with that is who's going to play Zeratul, because Dami plays Sonya. We have seen Lockdown play Sonya in situations when Falstad is taken away from him, so this situation you're describing does sometimes occur, but they're going to go with the Sylvanas instead here.
Sylvana is a very safe option here. She provides great poke, as you pointed out, but also the pushing power that she brings to the table, especially alongside the Immortal, cannot be underestimated.
I mean, Lieutenant Morales excels at single target healing. If Sylvanas can get some of that spread damage out through the Shadow Dagger, I think that can really help affect a lot of what Morales might be able to bring to the table. And if Li Ming is able to land the Arcane Orbs to splash damage as well, that could be a huge advantage for Tempest.
Yeah, I think that's the idea here. If it's not Li Ming, I think they're going to have to go a little bit more dive heavy and go Nubrok, and they're going to stick with Li Ming instead. And the Nubrok is going to go to MVP Black as a result. They have super heavy front line, and Morales is going to be there to keep them alive.
Level 1 of Nubarak versus
Dampened
Li
magic.
Ming.
Yeah, I think that maybe they were still holding off on deciding that, but Li Ming was the factor, the catalyst that led to saying, okay, we can pick a Nubarak. It's a solo warrior, but we still have Thrall who can be up in front. And with Lieutenant Morales, we keep her safe and she can keep those health bars nice and healthy.
Why is it that we see Lieutenant Morales ever so often on Battlefield of Eternity in particular, guys? Do you have an explanation for that?
I think it's the safety of a retreat. There's always going to be structures. While there's a little bit of distance to fall back on, whether it be to the gate or to the well or whatever, I feel like there's always an escape route. And generally, depending on where it goes, there's almost like a little bowl that you can kind of fight behind.
Yeah,
it just gives protection.
There's also the ability to use the medevac as an escape over short distances, because the map is kind of flat, and when you're in the center of the battlefield itself, you can actually just do a very quick hop across with the medevac to escape. We saw even Naventic try to do that earlier in their series against E-Star. So that's another reason why we see it.
Right. And there are, of course, choke points, right? You put her in the back, and then you have everybody up in front of her, and you're forcing a lot from your opponents to just try to even get to her in the first place, especially with the composition, the way it's played out for Tempest.
And I mean, everybody who has ever played Hero League as a solo or duo queue, you know what the first command is when you see Lieutenant Morales in the enemy team? Everybody focus medic. Everybody focus Lieutenant Morales. And I mean, in competitive play, it's no different, right? You need to shut down the strong healing beam. Otherwise, you're going to lose the long, drawn-out battles.
Well, the biggest thing is Dampen Magic from Anubarak at level 1. His Beetles can help deflect some of that potential damage coming in. Thrall has Sustain. Is that going to be enough damage to ward off some of the heals that Morales might get out? Because, again, she's a single-target healer, but if there's enough splash damage, it makes her job that much more difficult.
I think it's going to be really hard to kill Morales. With the composition we have, we have Dampen Magic, we've got Thrall on the front lines. I'm not that sold on Duck Sylvanas, so I don't know if he's going to make the Yao plays where he's going in and going to the back lines, going with the wind runners and trying to pick her off that way. I think that MVP Black has the better comp here.
All right, guys, I heard both teams are ready to get started, so without further ado, let's jump right over to predictions. Jaeha, who is going to take it between those two Korean teams?
Call it an upset or call it what you want. I'm going with Tempest.
All right, and Wolf?
MVP Black.
And Gilly?
Lieutenant Morales, gotta go with MVP Black.
I got to go with MVP Black here as well. I think they're hungry. I think they're ready to redeem themselves and snatch that first win of the day in that grand finals. For now, we've gathered some of the finest Heroes of the Storm casters to present this grand finals in worthy fashion. We're talking about none other than Dreadnought and Kaldor. Take it away, boys.
The grand final has finally started. MVP Black versus Team Tempest. And I have none other next to me than Dreadnought, and we're going to have a lot of fun here.
Yeah, it's going to be a great matchup between these two teams. The rivalry, the skill level, everything about it is going to be absolutely phenomenal.
And well, of course, we have Battlefield of Eternity as the first map, and MVP Black, they're amazing here. But let's introduce Team Tempest first.
So for Team Tempest, we are going to have Duck is going to be on Sylvanas, Hong Kono is going to be on the Murd, and Dami on the Sonya, Lockdown playing Li Ming, and Hyde on the Rhaegar.
And to the right side of the map in red, it is MVP Black with Kyojan, Fossat, Meriday playing Morales, Rich on Thrall, Saka on Kel'Thas, and Sign is playing once more the front line with Anubarak here.
And one thing already at the gates that I want to point out is the medic actually going with feedback loops, so she's going to have a little bit more mana when she does drop her W. That's not one of the more common level ones here, and both these teams kind of just trading when it comes to the towers already.
Yeah, immediately going straight for the structures here, and of course with Sylvanas in particular, there's a lot that you can make happen. Thrall under a lot of pressure at the top lane already, forcing him into a very defensive position.
Yeah, Rich actually taking a large amount of damage here. Both the teams are almost dead, even mirroring one another, taking out the front walls. The aggression is going to be real between these teams. Sylvanas disabling everything, but Meta keeping all the heals up. But Rich!
The jump on Rich, and he's down. The first kill for Tempest. These guys, they don't stop. Massive aggression right out of the gate. We talked about the grudge match, and both of them are going right for the throat.
They're going blow for blow here again. Worried about the minions that are going to be lost with the lack of Rich, but because Sylvanas is disabling everything, they're actually going to be not losing any XP quite yet. MVP does lock down the first fort, and here comes Tempest with the response.
And of course, MVP Black, they have a stellar record on this map. Also keep in mind, when Tempest was able to defeat MVP Black in the finals of the Korean season, this was not one of the maps. The map was played in the quarterfinal though, and guess who was victorious here? It was MVP Black. So right now they're falling a little bit behind here, and this is a bit of a first.
Yeah, we haven't seen MVP Black on the back foot on Battlefield of Eternity. The story of this map seems to be one Immortal phase might come out, that's fine. Oh, guess what? We're 10. Oh, guess what? The game's over. It just is, they are ever like just relentless when it comes to this map.
It seems like every time they get an Immortal, they at least drop a fort, if not a keep. These guys are just absolutely fantastic when it comes down to objective control. But now Tempest, it had an experience, and Dreadnought, the first Immortal, just spawned.
Yeah, and the rotation from Tempest is going to be far quicker here than MVP Black. Both teams are trying to get the damage out. Rich, you see, making the rotation. Hong Kono did sniff it out, but didn't show himself here. Going blow for blow, and the phase is going to go in favor of MVP Black.
Of course, there's a lot of poke for Tempest, especially later on when we have Barb Shot as an option for Sylvanas, and Li Ming is just going to pick up momentum on this map too. The trap already set though, as MVP Black is jumping straight for Hyde. He's moving back back immediately. Nice early detection on the side of Tempest.
They were able to get the zone here, sending Kyocha back because he has some of the highest single target damage of the game here. But Sign needs to do a very good job peeling off of Day, which they're doing quite effectively. But Hong Kono is getting the peel on the backline as well for Tempest.
Li Ming with the dominance now. They're really heavily banking now on the takedowns here. The extra health restore also picked up, so the resets are going to be strong. The extra health is going to keep her alive in those long and prolonged fights, and we will see some epic battles over the Immortals.
The stun going on to Duck Duck, but overall Tempest is getting a large amount of poke on the map objective. Hong Kono has to blink out, but Dame getting stunned by the Immortal here is taking a lot of damage, and the collapse they're going on to Hong Kono, and MVP Black get the first kill, but they're losing the Immortal.
They're losing the Immortal, but he got that one kill, and they're of course now trying to at least set Falstad over to the right side so that he can put a bit more pressure onto the Immortal of Tempest. You can actually see how Tempest is dodging around. They're looking for an angle where they can push in the damage.
They're trying to get the damage out, and Rich again isolating him. Hyde is going to be the aggressor moving in here, and Nubarak's done with the kill. Thus, they are going to get the phase, but it cost him his life.
Yeah, and maybe even more than that. They finally get that Immortal, but it looked for a second like they could even jump on Li Ming there. But now Tempest moving back for now. And it's actually pretty cool that we have MVP Black now pushing the Immortal. Oh, sorry, the opponent pushing the Immortal, but still even experience on both sides.
Yeah, they do have the advantage, though, having the Sylvanas. Even though the shields are low, we should expect that Tempest can gain some value out of this map objective, gaining a small lead here over MVP Black. But this is some of the first time that we've ever really seen MVP lose an early mortal when it comes to BOE.
Yeah, definitely. Tempest already giving them a run for their money here. MVP Black is used to totally dominate this map so far in the tournament, but now they defend against Immortal number 1. Tempest is going to get the ball. It's a bit unlikely that they're going to get the 4-2, especially with Morales healing out Kyocha here.
Yeah, the healing out of Medic, you see it just... As long as everybody is peeling for her and taking damage on the front line, she does a very good job here. The Immortal only getting down to half. That crippling passive there from Sylvanas is just so effective there. Only 25% shields, and they still manage to get 3/4 of that first fort.
Very, very powerful here. Top lane fort has fallen, of course, and we are also seeing at the same time now Thrall getting the experience. So the early exchange here, the top fort fallen, the one at the bottom, there wasn't even exchange in structures. Right now we're seeing still Rich as the only hero up at the top lane, getting quite a bit of experience for his team, actually.
Yeah, the soak that he's able to get here is going to help make up for MVP Black, but on the side of Tempest, they managed to get the camp on the bottom half of the map here, and then also have Sylvanas, so it looks like they're going to be speeding up, trying to force this map objective. I like that MVP gave it up, though. I feel like their comp isn't good enough in the early game. They do scale very, very heavily, though, as the game moves on.
Yeah, they definitely do, and now they rotate Thrall back down there, trying to see if they can maybe put the lockdown on one of these heroes and take him apart, but at least for now, it's always just this siege up position. And this is one of the things that Tempest does actually very well. They try to capitalize on Sylvanas, and look at Muradin here looking for that flank that you already pointed out.
Day is completely as well. He's going to be backing out. Hong Kono's probably going to take aggression now at this point. I'm surprised he's playing so passive. That is not Hong Kono's style here. Sake is very low as well. They keep moving in here, Kaldar.
That poke is great that they have here. They have amazing poke with Li Ming. Now almost suddenly Muradin wants to go over, but the isolation on Rhaegar, and that was great by MVP. They suffered a lot of hit point losses here because of the poke that we see with Sylvanas, with Li Ming, but they get the jump on Rhaegar, and that's just fantastic execution for MVP Black.
Yeah, they did a very good job there, but I can't help but have question towards Hong Kono's positioning and then being so passive. He saw that Sake was nearly that Day was completely backing out of that situation. Sylvanas could have disabled, and because he wasn't involved in that fight, MVP got a perfect combo and ended up picking off Rhaegar.
And that gives them quite a bit of momentum here. They are, once again, they got just slightly an experience. They get their camp, of course. They saved the fort at the bot lane. It's going to be picked off by Tempest very soon, but we have another Immortal phase just starting up, and that, of course, forces both of the teams again into the middle of the map.
Yeah, and now Falstad, you see rotating to make sure they can get rid of the Shaman Camp for MVP. Likewise for Tempest, where Sylvanas is getting the clear. So they're going to gain little to no value, and the teams haven't even touched their Immortals, so both are almost dead even in this matchup.
I have to admit that we have on level 7 now, though, a lot of tools for Tempest to put extra pressure onto the Immortal. Barb Shot has come into play. Calamity also picked up now for Li Ming, and they are trying to make good use of it. The defensive position taken by MVP Black. They are really realizing that they have a bit of an issue here against Tempest. This is a grudge match. They want the victory. They want revenge for the Korean League final.
Yeah, and actually giving up on the Immortal here, just worried about getting that bottom fort. They're not going to be able to get it quite yet with that Sylvanas disabled. The stun does come in here for MVP, but both teams are being very passive. Meanwhile, we do see the soak for MVP on the upper half of the map.
And Domi, of course, has a fantastic Sonya, is playing that very well at the front line, zoning out a little bit for the damage dealers. They're trying to get that poke in, and they will get that fort eventually. Once again, Hong at the bottom. He's waiting for an opportunity to maybe jump in. If they try to go deep and collapse onto MVP, that would be fantastic for them. But it looked for a moment like it would actually backfire.
Yeah, Sign actually just barely walked out of that shrub right as Honkono was going to come into vision here. Both the teams, again, perfect even when it comes to the experience here, and not even really touching the Immortals. I am amazed at how close this game is. It just feels like as one team makes the response somewhere else, the same happens for the other on the other side of the map.
It's a beautiful start into the game, and once more the team is like fighting for position right now. We're having the isolation of Sonya. They're trying to go for Domi. A lot of damage. That healing one is out, but Sonya is down. 5 versus 4 situation in favor of MVP Black as they try to go deep for a second kill, but Tempest retreats immediately.
Yeah, the poke that was picked up when it came down to Li Ming, but with a new Barak as the response here, it's very hard for her to gain value into their poke, and that's the second time that we've seen the kill where you see a minor isolation on the side of Tempest, and MVP Black just uses the kill toss, gets the ability to isolate with the gravity crush there, and does a large amount of damage to them. So MVP now gaining the upper hand for the first time in this match.
Yeah, Sylvanas actually just moving down to the bot lane, throwing in one Shadow Dagger. That's all that was needed. The fort explodes, and that gives them an early level 10, actually. They hit the Heroic at the same time as the opponent. Medivac in play right now. Both of the teams with their tools for this next phase of the game. The only hero who hasn't picked yet is Li Ming. There's the Disintegrate, finally chosen. They're trying to go for the Thundering, actually interrupting, and the kill against Sonya once again, but Boston pays with his life. For once again with the reset, Lockdown is trying to use the Disintegrate to drop a second hero, but Mariday moves back.
Yeah, Mariday is very weak. He's going to be abusing that passive. Look at that health regen. As long as he remains out of combat here, he's going to be in a fine situation. But we got to keep in mind that Tempest already has a large lead on here. But MVP is going to get the response by pushing down below. The gravity lapse coming out onto Hong Kono here. And it's 2 vs 4 on this defense for Tempest.
Hong popping the Avatar. Again, the rotation from the top as Lockdown tries to get some damage in. Dark looking for an opening. Falstad flying back in. Hyde has to be very careful now. Just moving barely back in time. And now the full defense on the Immortal for Tempest.
Yeah, and this whole time, Tempest has not been able to put any pressure really onto Mariday. Dami here getting the isolation, getting the damage out, and we're going to see Tempest trying to be able to get that 4-man defense onto MVP Black.
There's a lot of protection for Morales. Once more Lockdown with the damage. The Phoenix is out now though too, and Tempest is about to lose the Immortal as we see MVP moving in, but there is the attempt to move back. Nice use of the Medivac. Lockdown trying to escape here, but Kelfas is already down, and we have Mariday just moving away with everybody else. Well done, saving the rest of the team, and they secured the Immortal already.
And this is something that we haven't seen from any of the Morales players so far in this tournament, is that when Morales is the one popping the Medivac to save herself, the entire team going with her. Yeah. Because if they don't get into the Medivac, they aren't receiving any heals, and they're going to be losing the fight anyways. Dami getting caught out here, though, with the Great Sundering, splitting her up. He is going to be trying to spin, but I don't think it's going to matter. He is falling down, and the Immortal now pushing in onto Tempest Fort.
Yes, and they have a 5 versus 4 situation going for themselves as now Kelfas is joining up with the rest of the team up at the top lane. The Immortal putting good damage in. Look for a sign. He's trying to come in from the side. He's going for the flank, and he goes straight for Li Ming. They're trying to escape. Hyde with a slow. Gyocha dives deep and looking for a kill here. Doesn't find one, but the fort is down.
Yeah, they've done a very good job with the cleanse there to be able to keep his team alive. But again, I feel I can't help but criticize. Tempest has put very little pressure onto Mariday, and I feel like that's going to be the name of the game here when we have only Sylvanas and Li Ming. Sonya's the only one that can really get on the backline with Hong Kono, but we are yet to see her get that flank because that's a lot of their Immortal damage, right? We don't have a Seeker at 7, so she's the one who they're relying on to be successful on the Immortals.
It really feels like they struggle to get close enough there. With Thundering always coming in, there's a lot of protection for Morales in particular. There's the Gravity Labs, a lot of CC just for the MVP Black here, and then always the escape potential with the Medivac as well. Do you feel that it would have been an option to go for Leap here? It feels like a very YOLO move, like a huge risk to actually go for it with all the lockdown that's available. But what do you think are the options, or would have been the options, to really put more pressure onto Morales outside the draft?
I feel like a lot of it's just going to be coming down to positioning. Leap is an option, but I agree with you in the sense that it probably is very high risk. More than anything, it's just that we need to see some kind of distraction to where Hong Kono and Dami can both flank onto Mariday and at least force the Medivac, right? You don't have to necessarily get the kills, but you have to make something happen with her pressure. pressure, because right now it's just, you see a new Barak with a dampen magic wearing all of Li Ming's shots here, gaining little to no value, and it just seems like they are forever going to be healing until the Great Gravity Crush comes into play.
And of course, we also have to highlight that Mary Day is just playing an absolutely great game when it comes to positioning here.
Yeah.
He's never opening himself up for any kind of jump potential on the side of Tempest, and he uses intensive care now on level 13. So as long as he keeps that great positioning up, it's going to be so much harder for Tempest to break through that front line.
Yeah.
Great talent choices here for MVP Black, and I'm loving the confidence.
Yeah, if they're able to maintain the positioning that they have in the beginning half of this match, that poke that they aren't really getting onto the front line is only going to be getting worse here for Tempest. So they need to make something happen. I feel like all of this is going to put a lot of pressure onto Domi.
Yeah, Domi definitely has to make these plays with his Sonya, of course, and it's not going to be easy. We have the poke battle starting again. When we're looking at experience, it's still 13 versus 13 talents. This is another big moment here. We're 12 minutes into the game. This is the longest game that MVP Black played on this map already.
Yeah, Kyoto actually getting isolated here. Great pressure here coming out from Tempest, but he's going to get the Gus to get him away here. But meanwhile, Domi's going to be trying to go on the back line.
Uh-oh, Lockdown is in trouble. Lockdown is getting chased. He jumps away. Is getting healed with an answer. So great move behind. In the meantime, Kelfast fall. And this is MVP Black all of a sudden on the back foot. Here comes Li Ming once again with the damage. Lockdown is able to escape. The healing ward is down. And Tempest with a great play here. What looked like they would lose Li Ming turned into a kill against Kelfast. Great execution and hide with a perfect ancestor.
Yeah, that was a really great job, but you see, because of the positioning of the Immortals here, actually MVP Black wins when it comes to the phase. Again, just because they were able to get on it a bit earlier, so even being a man down here, their rotations, keeping them into this game. That was the first time that we did see isolation, though. Mary Day didn't have the opportunity to keep his team alive, and Tempest had the comp to make it happen, but Duck Duck getting caught out here.
Oh, Duck Duck with the waves everywhere, barely escaping. That was a close call. If he falls, then they are in a lot of trouble. But they are in a 5 versus 5 position once more. And both of the teams now trying to go a bit more for the defense. Kyoja even up at the top, trying to pick up some extra experience and forcing the lane back.
Man, this map so far, Falstad actually still worried about this.
I'm loving it.
He's dodged the gravity lapse in this situation, so at least no pressure on him. But I mean, I agree. How calculated it seems like the choices are both from these teams. Like, it feels like anybody else who has faced MVP on this map, it's just not even been close. But here you see, it's like almost identical of the XP when it comes to the Immortals, structures, and all fronts. It's just, it's perfect.
This is so much patience that we see both from these teams that have been so super aggressive against other opponents.
Yeah.
Always just push the issue whenever they had a chance. And right now, there's a lot of patience going into this, a lot of positioning, a lot of decision making. They really have a lot of respect for each other for very good reason. But with the rotation to the bottom of Tempest, they open up an opportunity for MVP Black to get the extra damage in against the Immortal. And MVP Black takes that chance, but now the cap is taken. And that puts pressure onto the bot lane that might eventually force a rotation from Falstad to deal with it.
Yeah, that was a reasonable response for MVP. MVP predicting that they were going to be moving on to that, but it seems like now they are going to be the aggressors. The minute it gets to the range of the Immortal, though, they back out. But guess what? Falstad taking a lot of damage. Great job there.
Of course, Li Ming, Medi already making sure that this is not going to become a big problem there. Li Ming also with the Disintegrate used during that fight to put the extra damage for the kill in. But now keep that camp in mind that we see at the bot lane, as now all of a sudden MVP is starting to engage once again. The Ancestral on Duck Duck is strong. Dome is on half health. They're moving in with the silence on Sylvanas. Tempest is trying to pressure this at the bot lane. They have a good push going for themselves as well. They are definitely putting a lot of pressure currently on MVP Black as they're going deep for a kill against, of course, once more Morales.
Yeah, that was a great job. Again, we were talking about the pressure onto Morales, but what if Li Ming is the one who does it? Following up on Hankono, getting the stun onto the backline here. Now Kyocha is going to be slowly walking away, but Tempest now securing a 35-40% Immortal for their team here. They are finally getting the upper hand here with a half-level lead, which is going to be even more, and about to hit the 16-level spike.
Absolutely great decision-making here. They rotate away from their own Immortal for a moment to capture the camp at the bottom. They risk MVP Black putting additional damage onto their Immortal, but then this camp continues to push the bot lane. They force the fight, they buy even more time, and they get value on all fronts with more kills coming in. And Drenon, we are tied in kills. It's 6 versus 6, level 15 versus 15, level 16s. That's what they're looking for. And that Immortal at the top lane is going to make it happen.
Yeah, and they're in a position, too, where they have Sylvanas with a pretty healthy shield on this Immortal. So Tempest now with a beautiful position. MVP needs to get as much free damage as they can. Lockdown providing vision over the wall as well with that laser here. Tempest, though, they are going to be the aggressors. I expect Hankono to be as aggressive as possible. If this keep gets anywhere near just non-existent, they're just going to be all in diving their opponents here.
He has the heavy impact on 16. He has the healing static. The stage is set, and they are looking for a chance to jump
There
in.
it is.
He goes in immediately, goes for the stance. Look for Kyoja. He's so low already. Falstad barely surviving, but once again, the Wailing Arrow is hitting home against 3. Sign is moving back. Saka is moving back. Kyoja on the run too. The keep is down, and we are seeing Tempest trying to end the game with level 16 talent.
Ancestral coming in here. Dami is trying to wail onto the core. Meanwhile, there is zoning on the Li Ming, but she's one of the least valuable DPS when it comes to getting on the core here.
Look at the damage. The core is down to 20. The core is down to 15. They're ending it. The kill against Kel'Thas, and this is Tempest taking a map of MVP Black. They defeat them on their best map on Battlefield of Eternity to take the lead at the grand final.
That was absolutely amazing. I was complaining the entire time about the lack of pressure it felt like Tempest had onto Mary Day. And then what do you know? It took one combo from the Dwarf Toss in, the Stormbolt, and then an instant follow-up with Li Ming getting the Orb and then using Calamity, making sure the Dominus keep her alive. Brilliant. And then that was all it took for them to be able to end the game.
That's Sylvana's value once again. Once that you decide these fights in your favor. And it was perfect for them. The Immortal supplies level 16. They have the talent advantage. They go in. And of course, as we've been calling already, we have all of a sudden Hong going straight for the heavy impact, the extra stun, the healing static, and then he's like, wait, those 2 heroes clumped up? You are mine.
He just doesn't stop. He just constantly goes like, all right, this is my moment to aggress, and then just instantly does it, abusing his 13 with the healing. He's just absolutely amazing on the hero.
Fantastic first game. I can't wait to hear from the analysis before we're going to jump into the second map. So Jehao and Kendrick, take it away.